Hey, let's chat a little bit about the latest news on the federal investigation into the WNBA, the Indiana Fever, and the refs that were being used throughout the league. I'm going to first give you some idea of why I feel qualified to talk about this. Number one, I worked for a company in the real estate training and selling real estate investments, rental property investments. I worked for that company. I was a trainer. I trained people on how to make money in real estate and that sort of thing. And I'm proud to say that I had more successful students than the next three instructors, whatever coaches, whatever you want to call us, put together, and that was a matter of record. And so I saw that. I even wrote a email letter to the company about what they were doing that was going to get them in trouble, and it sure enough did. They got shut down, and all of us that were working for them ended up without any more work, if you want to put it that way. The whole process of being investigated by I'll call all these official groups and everything like that do it, I'm going to give them all the same name. I'll call them all federales. That's a little humor, but at the same time, the federales will come down on those who are guilty. There's so much obvious guilt going on here with the referees. It's just, I don't know how else to say it. Let's take the Indiana Fever as an example. All right. There is no question, I could show you and I could prove it and would be happy to do it, that they lost at least 3 games this year strictly because of an astronomically bad differential of calls between what was happening to them and what was happening to the other team. It was just absolutely insane. And what has happened to Caitlin Clark, and I have no doubt that a lot of her injury obviously was caused by, she never had an injury before, so she didn't know. She just wanted to play, and they wanted to get they wanted to get the sales, so they sent her out there, and they kept sending her out there. And later she got her own people to tell her what was going on physically with her and what would happen if she didn't behave herself. So that's just one of the things. But let me kind of explain the differential between the referees and what, how can I say it, how they should have, the numbers the way they should have worked. In other words, you're always going to find refs that make mistakes or that favor the home team or whatever, but it was so obvious every time the Fever played that the refs were going to give the other team the benefit of the doubt every 8 ways from the ace. It just went on and on and on and on and on and on. There's no question about it. And Caitlin Clark has, unless it's, they show it like as if it's her saying it, and unless it's them using, because I can't read lips, but unless it's them using some sort of AI voice repetitive process to say, she doesn't want to continue to play against this just absolutely insane amount of, how could you say it? People trying to hurt her, I guess is the best way to say, because you could see it, it's pretty flippin' obvious that there's a lot of bad news going on, and that'll happen all the time in sports. You'll see it, but not constantly the same player all the time in and time out, day after day after day. It's pretty obvious. So what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot of stuff that is going on that shouldn't have been going on. And there's a couple other things that I'll throw in that I think are a factor. Couldn't document this that I'm going to get into right now, but I'll tell you, I really believe it. Let's take she's like a world-class athlete. She's how can you say it? A difference maker. She's unique. And not that there's other people that can't make behind the back passes, that can't throw a full court pass, that can't sink a three-pointer from beyond the logo. I mean, she's able to do that. Others do it, but she does it so often. It's the thing that I really like about her game is the pace of her game. She's constantly playing at warp factor 9, but they gave her a ration of grief for that, and they couldn't beat her legitimately, so they got physical, beyond belief physical. Now, how did that happen? Why did that happen? This goes all the way back to the NBA. The NBA started to protect, and the WNBA is doing it with their favorite players too, but to a greater extent, the NBA was favoring, with official whistles, their key players, the people that were really the boppers, so to speak. They were getting the benefit of the doubt from the refs all the time. That wasn't when I first started watching routinely the NBA. I'll go back to 1980-81 season, where I was a Utah Jazz fan, and that was only their second year in Utah. So I'm watching them. You didn't see the favoritism towards the key players from the refs like you do today, where they're trying to make sure nobody gets hurt. And so they started to really protect their players to the extent, their key players to the extent that not as many people wanted to watch. And I think that's one of the reasons that you see a more physical game in the WNBA. But the fact that Caitlin Clark, who you would expect as a key player to be getting, favoritism from the refs 8 ways from the ace, but you don't see that. You're seeing a totally different story. You're seeing them ganging up on her, and there's all kind of crazy stuff going on. It's a matter of record. They film the flipping games. All you got to do is go back and count the fouls, count what goes on against her, and they're not going to be able to stand up against that. And here's the thing, we're talking about where we stand with the federal investigation. Let me tell you how federal investigations work. They don't tell you a lot, but what they do is there's no question that the top officials in the W and the league, like the Indiana Fever, their top officials, the emails that are sent around are going to be commandeered by the federales. They're going to get those emails. They're going to look at them. They're going to see what's going on. If there's any conversation about, how the refs should handle Caitlin Clark, or, anything along or the Indiana Fever for that matter, you know what I mean? If there's anything going on along that line, that's going to come and rear its ugly head. And you got to remember that Magic Johnson was a rock star just like Caitlin is, but he played in Los Angeles. Michael Jordan played in Chicago, and Larry Bird he was from Indiana, but he played in Boston. Those are the big bopper teams, and Indiana is not one of them. I mean, Indiana, a few years ago, 3 years ago or so, something, I think it was about 3 years ago, they won 5 games. Give me a break. That's not much, but it's a different situation. And I can't say. I'm not a ref. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you what's going on, but I can tell you that they've had a lot of injuries, the Indiana Fever. You call it whatever you want. Was it right, true, pure, and holy? All of those injuries? I daggum sure from what I've looked at, don't think that the injuries that Caitlin Clark got were right, true, pure, and holy. No way. They were pretty egregious. Or as Coach White says, isn't that the word she used, egregious? She was talking about the quality of the ref calls in recent games, and it cost the Fever games because they were losing by 2 points in games where the referees, it was just so obvious that they were getting the bad shake, call after call after call. Come on, give me a break. That's it's cost them a lot. Any way you look at it, if Caitlin were to come back and play tomorrow night, which is I guess she's playing L.A. if memory serves me, and she were to come back and play like a rock star and help them win, no matter what they do the rest of the season, they wouldn't do as well as they could have done if she would have stayed healthy. Now, some of that you can blame her because she didn't understand what it meant to be hurt, because she'd never been hurt, not that to that extent, if you know what I mean. If she'd been wounded before, but get out there and like the coach says, you got a problem there? Well, get some dirt, spit on it, and make some sort of a thing there with the dirt and the spit, and rub it on it, and get your helmet on and get back in the game. I'm joking with you, but the truth of the matter is that they wanted her to play, and there were a lot of people came to see her play, and still would. Right now, they know that she's probably not going to play, but if they knew she was going to play, they'd show up en masse. I have no doubt about that. But you can count on this. If there's any shenanigans going on that is not, and I'll use the term again, right, true, pure, and holy, if there's something going on, they will get to the bottom of it. Now, to what extent they come down on who they come down on, I don't know. But this is too much of a potentially wonderful political football for them to use with, elections and stuff like that. Even Donald Trump himself was not, what the heck? He's not a politician like others are politicians, but he's enough of a politician to take advantage of something like that when it's so flippin' obvious that there is something going on that shouldn't be going on. Well, I'm going to leave you with that, but do keep in mind, this is not going away. They are going to investigate this. They will get to the bottom of it. They will pull up all the records that are necessary for them to figure out what's going on and what has been going on. And so, with that idea in mind, that's where we're at. Now, like yourself, I miss having Caitlin out there. No doubt about it. I pray to God she can get out there sooner, double quick, super fast, like the Energizer Bunny. But here's another sad note, and nobody seems to be talking about this. Because Caitlin is not playing, the reception, the TV viewership, the audiences watching the game, everything, it's down. It's down dramatically. They're giving you numbers from 40 to 53%. Come on. That's uglier than a mud fence. So now the league's not making the money they were hoping to make, and the players are thinking, pay us what you owe us. Like we owe you something? Because we don't have the audience that you thought we were going to have, and if we had it, it would have been because of Caitlin. And they don't want to admit that. That's why, they rated her the 9th best guard. Give me a break. 9th best guard in the league. You got to be kidding me. But they weren't. They're just jealous. They're just upset. They don't want her to be the bopper. I mean, that's just the bottom line. They don't want her to be who she is, and she will be. I pray to God she's able to get well and play and be here next year, and that we have a WNBA next year, and that the players don't get so greedy that they're trying to get money that isn't there, if you know what I'm saying. That they come up with some sort of an agreement where they can get out there and everybody can play, and they do deserve more money. I don't think there's any question about that. That's absurd, the amount of money they're being paid. Nobody else would ever even dream of trying to pull that one. But there you go. They treat it like, treat the players like they were Walmart, buying, their products and everything, and squeezing every vendor right down to the last drachma. What the flip is that all about? These are professional players. It's not a box of Cheerios. Come on. All right. Well, God bless you. I'm going to be out of here. 3, 2, 1. And as soon as I can find it, I am out of here. Bye-bye.